All right, everyone, and we are live. Hi, everyone out there. Hi, as always, Kevin Hammer here.
Chris Barrett here in Ohio right now.
Absolutely. So, Chris actually joined me. He came here to New York State this past week. It was amazing. We had a great time. Most of it was for hanging out, but for part of it, we did attend a local Pride event near me, and that was Albany Pride. So with this stream, we're actually going to be focusing on Schenectady Pride, which I attended with another friend the prior weekend, the prior Sunday, which was June 1st. So it kicked it right off. And many of you may have seen some of that footage, such as the Burlesque performer who shook it all in front of kids. You may have already seen that, but we're going to go through that all this evening. Now, the video is actually going to be a pre-recording. And you'll get to see Chris and I side by side, which is exciting. We were really excited to be able to do that. And interviewing my good friend Justin, who attended Schenectady Pride with me, and getting his perspective on what happened. With that, though, Chris and I don't want to leave you completely hanging. I will be monitoring the comments, so please during the segment, please don't be afraid to comment. We'd love to hear from you. And for a little bit after, I'll remain and address if there's any questions. But as a treat, well, I don't know, it's kind of a bitter sour treat. I'm going to be honest. I feel wrong just calling it that because it's actually pretty disturbing. We're going to give you a teaser, a bit of a preview about our next stream, which will be taking place next Monday, which is June 9th. So sorry, not June 9th. I'm falling back in my head. Sorry. Next week, which of course is, and I gotta double check that, June 16th. Sorry about that, folks. Next Monday on June 16th, Chris and I will be coming back and we will be covering what we saw at Albany Pride. But here is that teaser before we go and play the segment from Schenectady Pride. Let's get into this. Oops. Oh, where is it? I'm trying to find it. There it is. All right, folks.
I'll just say,
am
guys,
I still here? I think I am. I had a little bit of buffering issue.
All
right, folks.
I just have to say, I mean, right there, that should be enough for people to not bring their kids to this stuff. I don't understand what the infatuation with penises are. I guess maybe the lesbians are feeling left out. I mean, I don't know.
Exactly. And as we see, so folks, what I just played is a quick clip of what children were exposed to just from the vendors, right? Right here, we see a small child, and right there, a plushy penis. And it wasn't just one. As we go through this, look, there's another above that little girl. There's some beneath SpongeBob. Right there beneath SpongeBob. right?
So child
And like
friendly.
I said, this is Albany Pride. We're about absolutely. And then let's look at that. We got well, heck, at least it's inclusive, right? We have different races,
Yeah, we got brown and
different
white
skin tone,
penises.
penis plushies.
Yeah, it
And
was
then
an
of course,
I was just gonna say it was definitely an
sorry, Chris.
interesting situation.
Um,
It was definitely an interesting situation with you, Kevin, and I'm glad
I
that.
think we're having a
Uh,
little activity issue.
oh,
Yeah, no,
can you hear me?
absolutely, Chris.
Can you hear
It
me
was
now?
honestly it was disturbing in so many ways. But as we see here, we've got this now. I can hear you now.
Okay, I was
You
just
see
gonna
here, we
say.
got the shirt that reads "Who ate all the pussy?"
Right. No, I'm just glad that I was able to go to this with you and my husband. I won't say his name publicly, because honestly, I'm not sure that I could have made it through it. And what you guys are going to see from Schenectady is really bad stuff, and you wouldn't expect this type of stuff from a smaller town like Schenectady. But sure enough, it's there. So I'll throw it back to Kevin here to kind of introduce our upcoming video.
Okay, and with this upcoming video, we are going to Schenectady Pride, folks. We are time traveling back a week to Sunday, June 1st. And of course, here is a little bit of what we saw. Now, with that, we're going to jump right in to playing the pre-recorded video with my good friend Justin, who, like I said, I'm grateful he was able to attend this Pride with me, Schenectady Pride, just as Chris attended Albany Pride. So with no further delay, here we go. And once again, stay in active in those comments, okay? Because I'm going to be there with you. And then after the segment, I'm going to come back to answer some of those questions and respond to some of those comments. With that, here it is, folks. All right, everyone, and we are live. Hi, everyone out there. Welcome to this segment of a very special episode, or a very tragic episode, depending on perspective. You do notice a difference right off the bat, and that is Chris and I are in the same room.
Yeah, how about that?
I know, right? Chris is not in Missouri right now, which is actually for the best, considering you had 3 tornadoes touch down in one day.
Yeah, we did.
So-
Independence, Missouri. We had 3 tornadoes in one day. It was a bad day.
Thankfully, all his family and friends are safe, and his home was not touched. His dogs are safe, so thankfully, everything's all right. But it was when he heard, he was on his way here when he heard that 3 tornadoes had touched down in Missouri in his community. So it was wild. Which I mean is appropriate for what we're about to cover. Is wild. Our guest this evening, and we're so happy to have him, is Justin. So, hey, Justin, say hi to everyone and tell us a little bit about yourself.
Well, hello, my name is Justin. I am a singer-songwriter, producer, and activist. I go over under the name Zitro with my music, and I'm Justin when I'm an activist. But I've been doing activism for like about 2 or 3 years in the New York City area. But sometimes I do things like go up to Schenectady and do my thing there, or Albany.
Absolutely.
We're on the tri-state.
Saratoga, yeah. Which I know Justin initially. So to clarify, from my time with Gays Against Groomers, when I was a chapter leader there, and Justin is amazing. I am so glad that Justin was able to come up and cover this Pride with me, Schenectady Pride, just because for so many reasons. First of all, having that backup there, because we know how these individuals can get if they confront you. But also, I'm glad just for the emotional support, because watching some of this stuff unfold it angers you, and you need an anchor, or else, because we're going to cover it in a bit. But there's especially a couple things where I honestly if I had something, I don't know. I had trouble containing myself several times while we were at Pride, and I know you did too, Justin. You know, yeah, we got to a point where we're like, we got enough. We're leaving because this is making us sick. Absolutely.
Yes, yes.
And this, just for the audience out there too,
Yeah.
I think that it's important to say that this is the start of our coverage of Pride Month. So we're not going to only be doing Schenectady Pride. We're going to do another Pride event, which I'm not going to say because in case somebody's watching, I don't want to tip them off. But we are going to be covering another Pride event for sure. So this is the kickoff to our coverage of Pride Month, or as I like to call it, Hell Month.
Yeah, absolutely. And it is, unfortunately, it is certainly an added circle of hell for those of us trying to put an end to, you know, this sexualization, indoctrination, and, you know, medicalization of children, to borrow the slogan, you know, that we have, that is on our hearts, you know. With that, we are going to start our coverage here of Schenectady Pride. And I wanted to start with the very first flyer, the very first advertisement for Schenectady Pride up here in upstate New York for 2025. I remember I sent this to Justin, and when I sent it to Justin, because he was planning to come up, I said, something tells me that right here, just looking at this, I was like, when I saw Schenectady Pride put this out as their first advertisement for Pride, I knew something was gonna be, it was gonna be bad. Something in me told me. Do you remember when I sent this to you, Justin?
Oh yeah, you sent me some flyers, and that was one of them. Schenectady Pride. Just
Because if you know,
the pink and the green elf thing was like, this is gonna be bizarre. And I think that certain drag queen was in a different outfit this
yeah,
time, but
yep,
I think it was
same
the same
drag queen
one. Yeah.
there. Yeah, he always does the same thing, just a slightly different, you know, take on it. But to me, when I looked at this, I noticed also the drag queen in blue down there and the positioning. And then I also noticed, if you look up, primarily featured isn't like even the Progress Pride flag, right? You see the trans flag there. You see trans colors. So that all this combined, I was like, yeah, this is gonna be a Pride that unfortunately we're gonna have a lot to cover with. So with that, we actually are gonna start our coverage of Schenectady Pride with the politicians, the local politicians who endorsed Pride, Schenectady Pride, right there on stage in front of everyone, and therefore endorsed everything else that we're going to show you during this segment. So with that, we're going to just play a quick clip of those representatives on stage, and then take it from there.
This isn't your home. If you came here from somewhere else, welcome. If you live here, welcome. We are so happy to be celebrating Pride. Enjoy the day. And now I'd like to introduce Carmel Patrick and Carl Williams from the Schenectady City Council.
Oh my goodness, welcome everyone. Welcome. It's just like, no, welcome. We're gonna be dancing and glitter's gonna fall around us. Anyway, so these are 4 locally elected politicians. The 2 ones most directly connected to it are Carl Williams and Carmel Patrick. They are the 2 in the back of the image, right? They are Schenectady City Council members, and Carl Williams will come in later in what we're covering, trust me. But those 2 are Schenectady City Council members endorsing Schenectady Pride. When you get down on the second row, the woman, she is actually a Schenectady County legislator. Her name is Michelle, and I always butcher this, Osterlich, I think. I always butcher her name. I'm not gonna lie. I don't feel as bad about it now. So she is the one with glasses. She is a Schenectady County legislator. The other gentleman there, the gentleman with the gray hair, His name is Phil Steck, and he is a New York State Assemblyman. Now, if you're watching this in Missouri, just so you know, or another state that has this, in New York State, we don't have a state house like other states do. We have an assembly. So we have a state senate, and then we have a state assembly. Your house is our assembly, basically, just for clarification. So once again, Phil Steck is a New York State Assembly member. So now that we know the individuals who endorsed Pride proudly on stage, let's start covering what exactly they endorsed. Now, this first clip, bless you, Justin. This first clip is probably what a lot of people would argue as standard drag, right? Which is actually frightening that this has become standard drag, that even people who would once probably label this as horrific, as awful, inappropriate to be around children, they're now defending it. So with that, let's start playing this first standard drag, and the one that so many have defended. All right, Justin, I'm gonna throw it to you first. What was going on in your head while you were watching this? I mean,
Well, it was the first one, of course, is not typically not a drag queen it was actual transsexual that was obviously I would be very mindful because working with children myself, I make sure I'm mindful of what I wear, what I present myself as. But when you're a performer, knowing full well that children will be there, it's inevitable these days that parents will just take their children to these things. You have this transsexual, who is a male, have very underdressed, I should say. I'm not good at putting visuals to words too much, but very underdressed, the first one, and the second one obviously is leopard print, skin tight, and obviously inappropriate. Did a full-on twerk, turned around, twerked in front of the kids. Mm-hmm. It's disgusting, and perhaps to have exposed that. Of course, there was comments. I don't know if we're going to get to them later, but there were comments that defended that entire thing. So.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, we're not going over those in specific detail in this one, but trust me, people, there were a lot of people defending this, and I had someone in my life reach out to me who actually was once a close friend in person, and he kind of fell off out of my life anyways about a year ago after falling out with another friend who cut me out of her life because of politics anyways. He reached out to me and expressed anger, well, not anger, but, definitely being mad at me that this specific clip that I played. There's a clip later that we're going to focus on, a burlesque clip. Burlesque performed in front of children, so stripping in front of children. He agreed that that was wrong, but he said that this one was perfectly fine and appropriate to take place in front of children. He said that, yes, the dance moves were a little bit, but it was still fine. And this is an individual who actually at one point very much thought that children shouldn't be exposed to drag at all. So I actually officially ended a friendship over this. Well, it officially ended. So yeah, that's the kind of reactions this clip has gotten. And the sad thing is this has become standard and normal. I remember when these kind of performances, you'd only see them if you were at a gay bar, a drag show in a gay bar at night, like at 11 o'clock at night, right? But here we have it. It's around noon, right? It's afternoon. So you're looking at like 2, 3 p.m., right? And this is taking place in full daylight in front of basically, it was a daycare full of kids. That's exactly what it was. It's insane.
Well, I remember a point in time where, you know, drag used to be, you know, about acting glamorous and that sort of thing. Maybe that's just because I'm an old fart. But, you know, but it seems like all of these drag performers now act like strippers. You know, even if they're not necessarily taking off their clothes, I mean, their dancing is essentially, I mean, just put a pole out there. You know, that's what they need to do. You know, the transgender, transsexual, whatever the hell you want to call it, individual that was out there dancing in front of the kids, you know, it doesn't really surprise me. I mean, I am currently in litigation with a transgender individual that decided that it was appropriate to basically wear a beard, just like I have, call himself a woman, and work in the children's section of a public library. And he got upset that I called him out for that. Mm-hmm. So, you know, it does, you know, these people like that, you know, it's like, I don't understand what their drive, Kevin, is to be around kids, but they seem to have some sort of weird drive to do that.
They really do.
And, so I don't understand it. I don't want to put words into their mouths. I don't want to assume what they're thinking, but it is just kind of odd. And to sit there and do those kinds of moves and everything around children, you know, seems highly, highly inappropriate, you know, because like I said, put a freaking pole up there because you look like a damn stripper.
Absolutely. And Justin, you touched on this. You touched on something that Chris and I actually had a conversation about, because when I was first showing this clip to him, I was like, if I recall correctly, the first performer in this clip is actually trans, is a transsexual. So what I found interesting though, when we had this conversation, is it used to be when you heard drag, you thought a homosexual man who was dressing up as an exaggerated idea of a woman, right? But now drag is just, I think, more of like, as long as the makeup looks drag, you're in drag. Even a woman, even a biological woman, if they put on exaggerated makeup, right? Even if an actual woman puts on exaggerated makeup, it would be considered a drag performance. So I think we you know, that is the thing, is that drag has also then itself changed to now it's not just, oh, a drag queen is generally, it's a man, usually a homosexual man, dressing up as an exaggerated depiction of a woman. Drag is just an exaggerated depiction of a woman. That is what I feel like it's
and it's pretty much anyone.
Yeah. And would you agree with that, Justin? Do you think that is a good assessment of that?
I mean, they believe that if you say you're one thing, that's what it is. So
yeah.
Definitions don't matter with this community that I'm not a part of. So I'm not well versed in drag because I don't care, because I'm not a fan. So
yeah.
But no, so be it. The point is, you're doing this in front of children, and you should be called out for it.
Absolutely.
And we were talking about that earlier too. I mean, as a gay man, I've never been a fan of drag.
Yeah, and personally, well, I've had friends who are drag performers, and I would go out to support, you know, them at the clubs. Let me mind you, at the clubs at 11 o'clock at night, no minors. Everyone was 21 and over, right? I generally was not a fan of it, and heck, I had friends try to get me to watch RuPaul's Drag Race. I watched one episode and I never watched another one after that. So yeah, because it was always something a little bit unnerving to a degree, but now it's become something that sickens me because of what they decided to do, which was come out into daylight and target children. With that, we're going to move on to another thing that was featured at Schenectady Pride, and that is pup play. So prepare yourself, folks. This is the pup play that was on display in front of children at Schenectady Pride here in New York State.
You're all beautiful. Repeat after me. I'm beautiful, damn it. What a great sea of faces. folks.
All right. So, Justin, I want to add quickly. There was actually a part of this that I missed, right? Remember that we were near the bathrooms, right? And this individual, and I guess its owner, were over near the porta potties, right? And I didn't get my phone out fast enough to capture it, but this pup's owner was feeding it treats.
I missed
One
that
thing
part.
that we
That's
might
the
want
first
to
time hearing
clarify
that.
for
That-
our audience, though, is what pup play is.
Disgusting.
Well, it
But-
is disgusting, but
Yeah.
basically, it's kind of like I don't know, a fetishistic sort of, not sadomasochism, but a dominant role playing type of thing. So basically, one person, and this is just for the audience, one person acts as an owner, and then another person acts as the dog. And so one person is dominant, one person is very submissive, and it is a fetishistic sort of thing. I just wanted to make sure that was clarified.
Yeah, as you can see right now, the leash that's going up from, like I said, maybe it's for the best I didn't get the treat freaking feeding aspect of that. And then look at this, right? I mean, you got the pentagram on the one guy's shirt, so I mean, take that as you will.
Right.
Right here, right? You got a child. This child. So we're protecting children. We actually protect children. So blurred out the child's face here, but this child was looking so confused at this individual, right? Dressed like this with a tail wagging and a leash going to the other individual, right? This was, we stayed as long as we could, folks. We really did, as long as we could stomach. But to add to the pup play, this is where city councilman Carl Williams comes into play. Because Carl Williams, he actually stayed for the group photo. City council member Carl Williams, I am going to reiterate that. And this is part of that photo. All right. Carl Williams is the gentleman there that I have circled next to the child. And right there's the pup. Now, he definitely saw, how could you not see that? I never want to hear that argument. He's there smiling. You know, I've got a trans flag right there. I've got someone in fetish kink gear right there. Even behind him, the guy up top, he's showing his face. He's the one that's at the front of the stage, by the way, in all the clips, encouraging the crowd to, you know, say hooray and all that shit. Anyways, he's wearing a pup mask, right? So Carl Williams is surrounded by pup play. This is what he endorsed as a city elected representative. This is what he chose to endorse. Yeah. So, folks, this goes beyond like just going after, you know, like pride, what we see at pride, such as the kink and the nudity and the dancing. We have elected officials going and endorsing this. And that's a big part that we need to start focusing on if we really are going to cement the message in the culture that pride is not appropriate for children. We need to start doing this. Would you agree with that, Justin? Oh, we're not hearing you, Justin.
Sorry about that. I was going to say that whether or not the children could be out of the equation entirely, and it should be said that you should keep your kinks behind closed doors because that was a public park.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm not going to say, obviously, I don't understand the damn appeal with this because this is disgusting. You're cosplaying as animals. I don't know. It's disgusting to me, the whole thing. And Yeah, no, they were so careless that the child was like 3 feet away. So careless.
Yeah, and
Not even though.
Justin, you just mentioned that how small the park is. This is a small park, folks. Like, I mean, you could throw a football easily. You could be a child, like a 10-year-old, and throw a football across this park. Like, that's how big it is. The stage was definitely visible from the street as people go by. And this is advertised as family friendly. Because I would have so many people saying, well, the parents chose to bring their children, which true. Parents shouldn't be doing it. That's wrong. It should be absolutely illegal. However, these pride events are always marketed now, pretty much always marketed as family friendly. And in this case, this stage, these performances, this kink could be seen by cars passing. It could be seen from the houses across the street. It's insane. Well, I showed you that park. It is a tiny park.
Yes, and guys, you know, I have been by the park, and it is very small. Anybody could have seen what was going on there. You know, I mean, I just looking at this image here, you know, I think this is emblematic of the, you know, current so-called pride movement. I mean, there's no pride in it. It's just kind of, you know, really what it is it's a trans fest and a kink fest. I mean, that's what pride has really devolved into. Mm-hmm. I am embarrassed as a gay man that gay people participate in this, but I do want to say for any of our listening audience out there, what is really disturbing is the amount of straight people that have embraced this. Yeah. You know, I kind of would look to them as, you know, people to, you know, hold the line on this. But, you know, like I was under the impression that pup play was something that pretty much only men did. But you have video here that shows completely different.
So that's another thing. Yes, the video we played, that was 2 women partaking in pup play.
Right. And yeah. And so, you know, this stuff has become, at least in my opinion, a cancer on our society.
It is.
Yeah. And so it's not a gay issue. It's not a straight issue, not a bisexual issue. It is something that is affecting our entire society.
But isn't that all the more interesting? And Justin, I'm sure you'd agree with this, is that, I mean, kink is a sexual fetish, not an orientation. So why does it have, I mean, even if you're going to talk about pride and LGBT, right? What place does kink have at pride then, since anyone of any sexual orientation, walk of life, can have kink? I mean, there's video footage of heterosexual people taking part in pup play, pony play. I hate that I know what these things are, but you know, all that stuff. I hate that I know these things. Heterosexual footage of taking part in this. So they are trying to totally link, and they've been successful to a point, kink and fetish to being homosexual, being LGB, even, you know,
right,
even stuff like that. Justin, do you have anything to say about that? I mean, it's sickening.
Well, yeah, you're right. It took me till a certain age to know what these things are, but these kids are so young, and now they know what they are at that age, like 6, 7 years old, or even younger, because there was babies there too. So they have an early access to this, to these sick fetishes that shouldn't even exist. Like cosplaying as animals, that shouldn't even be a thing.
And speaking of babies, our next clip, you're gonna unfortunately see a whole bunch of babies on stage. Children of different age ranges. I mean, as small as a toddler that had to have her hand held, right, was on stage. Children probably around more like up to 12 years old were on stage. I can honestly say, so much of this, my heart was breaking, but especially this. And listen, so folks, we're about to play this clip. Now, I want you to pay attention to what you're seeing, right? The child wearing the mask, all the children up on stage, the woman that's basically dropping it like she thinks it's hot. And but also listen to the music as well, right? Use your ears and your eyes. And then, of course, you're probably going to throw up, so you're going to be using your stomach as well. But let's just let's jump in this because. It's, hey kids, look down at me. I'm doing something perverted in front of you. Look at me being, nasty. Look at me drop it like, be nasty and being nasty, kids. Look at this. Don't you want to be this someday?
And the other thing is too, Kevin, you saw that dumb bitch up there with the wolf or fox.
That's actually a child. That's a child. That right there is a child.
A teenager?
That is a child. She's probably around 12 to 13 years old. That's a child.
Jeez, what the hell is their obsession with this fucking animal stuff?
That is a child. And as you see, you got a toddler in the back there. That an adult has to be up there, right?
See, I thought that was an adult at first.
No, that's a child. If this individual were to stand up, you would see by comparison that is I don't think I have that clip, but that is a child.
So basically, we have success, not we, but society has successfully groomed this child into thinking this weird, almost bestiality sort of shit is normal.
And we saw a version of this, Justin, if you remember, when we went to Saratoga Pride last year, there were some kids walking, not with the mask, but they had the tails on. And I also saw this at Albany Pride as well. So this whole furry stuff, this in pup play stuff, is making its way to the. And this right here is a clear example of it, right?
See, I would have assumed that was an adult.
That was a child.
Damn.
That is a child. That is a child.
Yeah, because Kevin and I review these videos before we go on together. And I really just thought that this was just some sick adult leading the smaller children. My God. Okay. Well, this crazy girl evidently thinks that, it's fine to be a furry or
because the adults in her life, the individuals who are supposed to protect her, who are supposed to guide her, who are supposed to help her become a healthy young woman, right? They have failed her.
Oh, yeah.
They have failed this child.
Yes, absolutely.
Justin, what was your response when you said, because like I said, Chris here, and a lot of people would watch this and they'd see the child behind her, right? They'd see the other smaller kids, but they wouldn't necessarily realize that this right here is a teenager at best.
Well, at first glance, I knew it was a teen, like 14-ish. But I want to address the twerker, like the twerker that just jumped up to the front and twerked. And if I was a child and that was my mom, I'd be severely embarrassed. What was she thinking doing that, knowing that there were children watching? The first thing the children see is that woman.
Yeah, and they're up on stage above her. So they are looking down at this woman. Up here they are. And they're looking down on her doing this, folks.
She thinks she's at the club. She thinks she's at somewhere else. And I don't know what goes through these people's minds when they make these rash decisions to unaware of their surroundings. So and obviously people are just going to defend it like she's having fun, she's dancing. Like,
yeah,
are adults mindful anymore?
What kind of dancing is that in public? You know what I mean, Justin?
And to approach the stage, she had to see the children. So it's not even about, I wasn't aware there were children there.
Right.
You walked towards the stage seeing the children. You dropped it with your head facing the children in that direction. And then when you stood up, you were pretty much, to the baby at least, you were eye to eye. So don't try to tell, like, that's the thing. Some people are like, oh, they did something, but they were unaware of who was around.
Oh, yeah.
No.
This crazy woman knew exactly what she was doing. And, I mean, Justin, you may have given them too much credit in the sense of saying that they're unaware of their surroundings. Just as a joke.
Delusional. They're delusional.
I know, because
Yeah.
I think that they know exactly what they're doing. They know what their surroundings are, and that's why this is such
Yeah.
depravity. This is such depraved behavior. You know, it's like you've obviously got kids around you. Why the hell are you doing this in front of kids? I mean, and on top of that, I mean, seriously, Justin and Kevin, I mean, I guess maybe because I'm too old or whatever the case is, this just looks like stupid ass behavior to me. I wouldn't even do this shit in front of adults.
And also, I mean, you know, I think that's the thing, and I think we still and we talked about this earlier, Chris and Justin. I'd like to get your take on this. I know, Justin, you don't give people credit easily, so I know that. But of these types, I used to at least try to give people more credit, right? Like, well, a lot of the people, they've been trained by this agenda to believe that if they don't celebrate it, they're bigots, right? But eventually, you have to take responsibility. People can push you towards something, but eventually you have to take responsibility. I'm sorry, you may have been guilted into attending, but if you watch this and think that this is okay, this filth is okay, you've made yourself part of the problem. You may have been, you know, pushed into it saying, oh, well, to show up is to support a family member that I love who happens to be gay or lesbian. No, this is not supporting a family member who happens to be gay or lesbian. You cheering for this is supporting someone dropping and basically humping the ground in front of children on stage. That's what you're supporting. You're not supporting a family member who just happens to be gay or lesbian. Just what is your take on that? I feel like it's time to stop giving credit to a degree, right?
Right. So, yeah, Pride used to be about support, and they did talk about support on stage. That there was some speeches that talked about be proud of who you are, all that stuff. Which I agree, you should be proud of your accomplishments, not your sexual orientation or mental disorder, gender dysphoria, whatever. But even if it were that, you know, there was still just things not to be proud of. You know, just going on stage to house music, which is basically club music, where people, you know, take E and, you know, ecstasy and, you know, pump each other on the dance floor and stuff like that. So they're trying to bring the club to a so-called family-friendly event when it was nothing of the sort. So yeah, this is why you give people no credit, because Chris was right when he said, because people just they're just evil. Maybe they're not delusional after all.
Right, yeah. It's kind of hard to say that they're delusional because but I mean, what do you think about what I said, Justin? It's like, you know, I mean, you're a grown man. We're all grown men here. It's like I've gotten to a point that I'm like, there's no way in hell I would do this sort of stuff, even in front of adults. It just looks stupid.
Yeah, it looks stupid. But stupid's just an understatement. I say it's just pure evil. What we're going to get into thing is just like they know they it's indefensible. Yet they ended up defending it, and I was like, there'll be like one or two people that would be. There's always at least one person, but it was like 7 or 8 or maybe even 12 that just saying, Kevin, get a life, Kevin. For what? Exposing what was on film?
Kevin, you're homophobic. You're racist. Which. Okay, you gotta throw that in one comment. This one individual, she called me racist, a white supremacist, a KKK member, and a Nazi. Like, you know, it's like a triple rewards program or something.
Well, you know, I mean, so I just want to say I'm the Jewish guy here with my Nazi friend.
I know, right?
So yeah,
we have the proverbial Jewish Nazi right with us,
right?
So I just. And so we are going to move on to that final clip because, folks, if you haven't seen it already, for example, if you don't follow my personal profile, or if you don't follow Gays Against Groomers and you haven't seen it on social media yet, this next clip, I'll go a bit more into it, but this next clip actually does make this look a bit subdued, right? So this is still nasty. but we're about to, and I think the only reason with the next clip that the individual didn't do this was because they're too old and too heavy to do it.
Oh, probably so.
So to be honest, so with that, we're gonna move on to our last full clip. So people, please be prepared to be disgusted. All right. So I remember when Justin and I first arrived. At first, remember, I was like, "Well, I haven't seen too much out there yet." Right? That was it. We saw this, and we left not too long after because we knew that unfortunately we had everything that proved our point that this should be illegal. Pride is not appropriate for children. Is absolutely disgusting. This is evil. And on the unedited video part of this, so obviously I edited it. I wanted to make sure I could protect the children because it's like, again, we actually protect children here. Near the end of that, I almost dropped my phone because I was so disgusted. I mean, Justin, what was going through your mind? I mean, to me, I knew it was going to be bad because before this individual did this strip show, this burlesque performer, the drag queen on stage described what burlesque is, and that was when as soon as the drag queen said burlesque, I knew it was going to be bad, and then the description reinforced that. But then this, Justin, I'm going to throw it to you.
Yeah, I'm not too familiar with burlesque. I heard the word, but I just know it's dancing. At the time, but when the clothes and this person was side stage, it was fully from neck to toe the clothing. So I was like, this can't be that bad. And then comes on stage and does that. And I'm glad that we exposed this and got a lot of traffic to it because all the gaslighting that I've been received over the years of protesting against this. Oh, they're just here to, make sure the kids understand that there's different people in the world. No, you're showing them your butt. So there you go. You're there to make this about you, and instead of just going to a nightclub and booking a gig there, maybe you just can't get a gig at a 21 plus event. I don't know, but this whole thing with the gaslighting. It just that part made me feel better that it verified everything I was saying. But it's still, kids got abused in the process. I'm sorry that they did, and they're gonna be scarred.
Yeah, I mean, the thing is that they're going to be scarred in ways they don't understand or even know. That's the thing, is that the thing is they're scarred, but they don't know it at all because this is being normalized to them. That's well, it's not even something that was done to them that they, it's not like, for example, getting burnt by a fire, right? You understand that you were injured. You understand as soon as that flame touches you and you're like, ow, you understand that you were injured. This, you don't necessarily understand that. You don't necessarily, if this has been normalized, you don't understand that you're being injured by it.
Well, and the thing is, the problem with it is it sends the message to kids that this is like normal behavior. I mean, it's one thing to do this in a club or something like that in front of adults, even though God knows I wouldn't want to see this. But, but this is like right out in public, in a public park, and it sends a message to kids that this is normal behavior in public. And what are we doing sending this type of message to kids? And was that person actually a woman?
So I do believe that individual is a woman who identifies as non-binary, if I remember correctly. But then again, we're at a point, and I actually recently saw a clip where they joked about this, They it was a husband and wife team. They were referencing if it was a man or a woman, like if it was a trans individual, and they jokingly said, it's actually easier to a degree for heavy set men to pull it off, because I mean they need to do less work. They kind of already have a round face. They don't have the Adam's apple showing, and they kind of they already have the boobs there.
Right.
It is kind of hard.
It's hard to tell when somebody is like as fucking fat as she is.
I mean, there is, and I know people might get mad. This might trigger some people. There is a lot of cottage cheese there,
right?
So I do know that tends to be associated a little bit more with older women that tend to get heavier set,
right?
So,
and I mean, nothing against anybody who's heavy set, and God knows I've got
I know
got a nice belly on me too.
Yeah.
That's not what I'm saying, but but you're right. When somebody is really, really heavy set like that, it's really kind of hard to tell the difference.
Yeah, for a man who's heavier set, because like I said, the facial feature is already rounded. You don't see the Adam's apple.
Yeah.
And you might think, mind you, they never make even remotely attractive women usually, right? But they still could pull it off a little bit more because they don't have the strong masculine features that we recognize.
But this goes to another point, though, that I was that I really wanted to lead into, because I just wanted to make sure that this person was actually a female, and it sounds like they were. So much in our society, so much of this debauchery is associated just with like gay men.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm not saying that gay men have been innocent. You and I were talking about that.
Yeah.
So we're definitely not trying to say that that's the case. But we've got two women doing the pup play.
Mm-hmm.
We in the videos that we've seen, we've got a grown woman up there showing her butt to children. It is it's so much. I think that's maybe the thing that our society isn't getting right now, is that this is so much broader than anything that the gay community could have
absolutely
done.
This is the fruits of feminism, especially modern feminism. I mean, this is I am woman, hear me roar, and apparently hear me clap it too. But it's just it's disturbing. I'm sorry if this is what feminism has produced. I am sure that this is what Susan B. Anthony did. This is what Susan B. Anthony fought for. This is what Eleanor Roosevelt would have been out there promoting, right?
Yeah, I think Susan B. Anthony is probably rolling over in her grave. I would imagine Eleanor Roosevelt is as well. I mean, they were, decent women who were standing up for the rights of women and stuff like that. But we've gotten into this weird, since this is actually a woman, and really has probably nothing to do with the gay community whatsoever. The thing is like, we've gotten into this weird phase of feminism. We're acting like a whore, somehow liberating for women.
And we're going to throw it to you, Justin, but seriously, I honestly think that if it was capable for, stay in the damn kitchen, because if she knew that her work would become this, I know I'm horrible, but Justin, what? Let's get your take on this. Do you see this? Do you see what this burlesque, if this is an actual woman, right? Do you see this more in line with like obviously modern feminism, right? Because I mean, these all overlap.
Yeah, modern feminism for sure. The fact that the less clothes I wear, the more furry I am. That whole mindset.
Mm-hmm.
But it would be a brave path to take if you just taught the younger generation to just be classy, give them a charm school-esque path, for so that you can open more opportunities in your life and have a great future. But no, this is what we're doing. We're teaching the children that physical the bodies, and just like let's liberate ourselves, take our clothes off, and that aspect. It's not teaching class, not teaching people to interact with one another and have a bright future. We're leading them astray.
Absolutely, 100%. And I guess where I kind of want to come back to, because I do want to circle back to this, and I think this is where we'll leave it, is I really want to see the politicians be focused on. Because these individuals are community leaders. Yes, parents are to blame. Yes, performers are to blame. Yes, certain organizations are to blame. But these individuals are elected officials, and they are leaders of the community, and they are leading us straight to hell. Right? I mean, I stress that enough. I can't stress that enough. Is people, we need to start focusing on the politicians who stand up and proudly focus on this. Justin, what's your take on that? I mean, because we focus so much on the performers. We even yell at the parents. We would yell at the those who advertise, right? The businesses, right? That back Pride. But I feel like to a degree, we don't focus enough on the politicians that get up on those stages and say, "Happy Pride."
Yes, we have someone in the city as well. I want to call out Eric Botcher because Eric Botcher was the city councilman, if I'm correct. Because I don't really focus on these people too much. I should though. But Eric Botcher was the one that would get on video, and when we were protesting these events, would just call us out and put us on a social media, and saying, "Oh, they're just bigots trying to disrupt something beautiful." And so yeah, they're full-on enablers. And there was one event where people like Letitia James and Krishnan, another city councilman, would all like join the drag queens and watch them as they're abusing children. There's psychological state. So yeah, they're in cahoots, and they do it with a smile on their face, and just to do just for political gain, and so they can get reelected by the left and like that nonsense.
Absolutely. So we're at the 50-minute mark, basically. We always go longer, but I think it's worth it. At the end of the day, especially in this case, with it being Pride Month and focusing on one of the earliest prides, right? Which happens to be in a very small community. This isn't New York City, folks. This is a small community. And so, oh, by the way, folks, admittedly, again, this is pre-recorded, so please stay tuned after this. I have been watching the comments. I'm speaking to my future self. I've been watching your comments, so I will be coming back and I will answer them. I will address them. Chris might or might not be there because he will be traveling home back to Missouri. So depending on what time he gets there and how he feels, he might not be there. That's why he is here now, everyone. So with that, again, please stay after this segment ends. But Justin, I want you to wrap things up with how, first of all, what you took away from this other than an ill feeling. And let people know, if you want to, where they can find more about you, or what you're associated with.
Yeah, what I took out of this is that I'm right about, well, we're right about everything we've been preaching throughout, our activism, and it's all on video. There's no hiding it. There's no explaining it. You can try to defend it, but you sound stupid in the process, and you sound evil in the process. And I see this as evil, and anyone who defends it can just rot. But and on that note, you can find me at I do music, so this is not, I do music outside of this on social media. So I'm Zitro Music on Instagram. On X, I'm Zitro Tunes. So sometimes I'll be speaking my mind on there, but most of the time I'm just pursuing some good music.
Absolutely, and that's true. It's definitely good music, folks. With that, we are going to say goodbye to Justin. Thank you, Justin, once again for coming up and attending this event with me, because you were a source of strength as well. So with that, everyone, please, I will see you in the comments in a moment. But God bless and have a great day, everyone.
Thanks, Justin.
Thank you.
Absolutely. All right. And we're back, everyone. Thank you. Thank you for hanging in there. I want to thank Chris, who, by the way, Chris, everyone, is traveling right now, of course, as I said he'd be. I see
Yeah,
lights behind him.
my background changed a little bit. My husband and I went out to get some food, so we're doing that. So I'm not going to stay on long or anything. So if you guys want to discuss things, I probably won't stick around for that. But I did want to pop back in after the stream and say hello.
Absolutely. And to be honest, Chris, we're gonna actually wrap things up. I do apologize to everyone if you experience connection issues on your end. But before you leave us, if you weren't watching in the beginning, I'm gonna once again play a quick snippet from next Monday's stream, which will be focused on Chris and I and our experience at the Pride in Albany, New York, since he was visiting me. So with that, let's quickly play that little snippet one more time. Here we go. All right, so as you can see, everyone, it's not just the performers. It's not just it's not just the performers. It's not just like the people, the groups in the parade. It's not just the people taking kids to these pride parades. It's also the vendors who cannot be trusted to be around children at these events. And that's just one of many things, many aspects that Chris and I will be covering next Monday at 8:30 p.m. Central, 9:30 p.m. Eastern Time. Chris, any final thoughts on this?
It was great to get to talk to Justin. I haven't met him in person, but definitely seems like a really nice guy.
He is.
I know that you felt like he was kind of a source of strength for you, having to go through that, and I felt that you and my husband were a source of strength for me to be able to get as far as I did in at the Pride event in Albany. And maybe we'll talk about the fact that I couldn't go quite as far. Um, but these are definitely events that, especially if you're going there just to kind of explore what's going on, you don't want to go to alone. The atmosphere is quite overwhelming, and I think any healthy minded person is not going to feel comfortable at these events, for sure. So with that, I'll throw it back to you, Kevin, and then I've got to jump off of here.
Absolutely. And Justin is in the comments. He sends his love. Anyways, everyone, thank you so much for watching this evening. Chris, safe travels as you get back to Missouri. And God bless everyone. And keep an eye out, everyone. Definitely keep an eye out because trust me, this wasn't New York City Pride. This was a small little city. This is a small city. You could throw a football across that park, and this still happened. And this right here, this image, is from a small city as well, a little bit bigger than Schenectady, but Albany's still a small city. And this happened as well. With that, God bless everyone. We look forward to catching you live in the comments next Monday. Peace out.
Take care, guys.